Well, here goes nothing. Hopefully, not literally. Hi there. Welcome, everybody, to Cast Iron Wednesday, which is, of course, a long running tradition that a number of YouTube cooking channels have been doing for the past several years or more. Most of the smaller ones seem to be doing Cast Iron Wednesday. Not many of the larger channels are doing that for some reason, which is odd because it's fun. We've had a tradition of doing just that, a cast iron video on Wednesday, because again, it gives us a chance to have fun cooking or cleaning or talking about or discussing cast iron, and certainly what this channel is for as well. Here I go again, clearing my throat. Hopefully, that's the only time. And yes, this is indeed my channel, and I thank you very much for showing up here this Wednesday evening, especially for those of you who have been kind enough to show up for going on the last 4.5 years or 4.75 years now. So I can only thank everybody who's been kind enough to make these live videos so interesting. So thank you and welcome tonight to Jim Glatar, and hello to Greg Hart, and hello to Cynthia Wesley, and Rocket Caver, and Pip Gorn, and Greg Hart. I said that already. And hello to Clico, and Jamie Ledgerwood, and hello to Ronald Coward. How's everybody doing? Other than my throat being dry again, I'm doing pretty good here, especially since it seemed like I wasn't sure if I was going to get this done in time. It seemed like everything that could have happened to delay my prep work did happen, up to and including spilling a whole pound of dry rice over the kitchen floor about an hour or so ago. And so I had to cuss and fuss and clean all that stuff up. And you know what that means? No matter how well you clean up, you pick up every what you think is every last grain of rice, I'm going to be tripping over grains or stepping on grains of rice in my kitchen for probably the next month or so, which is a shame because only just yesterday I gave my home a nice spring cleaning, vacuumed the rugs and mopped the floors and all kinds of fun stuff like that. But yes, yeah, hopefully you did miss the chaos, Clico. Hopefully there's not going to be anything any crazier than that, other than the fact that, again, I've only been able to just start my prep work. Fortunately, we are only doing a small stir fry tonight, so it's not going to be that difficult. And that means I've got myself a nice supermarket chicken breast here. The first thing I have to do, of course, is strip this so that we'll have an actual chicken breast for a stir fry. But that's actually pretty easy. And of course, if you have a chance to buy skin on chicken breasts, that's certainly a better choice because not only is it always cheaper than the boneless, skinless chicken breasts, but in addition, I'm gonna have all of these extra leftover pieces here, which, as they like to say, you can use for stock. That's what they always say, of course, for that. But yeah, so I mean, I always do try to buy my chicken breast skin on at the supermarket when possible for precisely that reason. It means I've got this much more left over. And what's more, it's pretty easy, as you can see, to simply strip the bones off of this breast because we are already done. Let me check here. Okay, one little piece of gristle. There we go. But just like that, I've got this extra stuff, which I will have to put aside now over here. And then I will stick this in the fridge with all of my other chicken parts. But just like that, I've got one large chicken breast from the supermarket, which will be more than enough to make a stir fry for one. Because I'm still on this so called carnivore diet, which means that the stuff I'm going to be putting into the stir fry, I'm not supposed to have. So I promised my lady friend that I would be making her lunch tomorrow. And that's why we are having a nice chicken stir fry here. And this is not going to be too difficult to prepare. It has all of the usual stuff you might see in a typical Chinese stir fry. So we'll get this going. Just simply cut these up into, get rid of these extra pieces here still. And we start cutting these up chop, chop. In fact, there's going to be so much here that she'll probably be able to have both lunch and supper tomorrow, because that's a fair amount of chicken for one. Not bad at all for one. Oh, did I miss one piece somehow? I guess I did. All right, we'll just chop this up too. This and that. And I've got another stupid pop-up window preventing me from seeing the comments here. Close that out. And hello to everyone. Bunt chicken video. Well, thank you very much, Greg Hart. Yeah, I am really, really happy with that. How that bunt pan chicken turned out. I mean, it turned out far better than I was expecting. And this is why when you compare it to the rotisserie chicken you get at the supermarket, this was better in every way. I was amazed with the way the dark meat was done so well that it just easily pulled apart, whereas the white meat was still tender and juicy. So I have absolutely nothing to complain about that bunt pan chicken. And if you have a cast iron bunt pan, I strongly recommend giving this a try. All right. Anyway, that sure didn't take long to chop up our chicken here. Let me rinse off my hands. Yeah, I know, chicken hands. No, I'm not dead from salmonella yet. And another paper towel. I honestly think the hysteria over chicken spreading bacteria all over your kitchen and all over your home is overrated. No, I did not say non existent. Yes, I do understand that there is indeed bacteria from raw chicken, but I think it's overrated. And right now, anyway, we're just going to marinate this chicken nice and quickly, which means from this, we get to throw in some rice vinegar. This is just the basic type of thing you would see. I don't even have to do very much. Some rice vinegar, some dark soy sauce. Yeah, always spill this stuff. And to this, we also mix in some cornstarch. And I'm going to let this marinate, well, for a few minutes at least, while I simply chop up the other ingredients. Oops, yeah. Never fails, does it? Again, get it all over the place. Of course, that's pretty much a given with cornstarch. Next, we wipe this up. All right. Just get out a fork. Fork it all up. Mix all this together. Doesn't that look lovely? Well, pretty much, again, as we know, food prep is icky. There is simply no way around that. With food prep, you're going to get your hands dirty. And if you don't like that, well, unfortunately, you probably need to stay out of the kitchen. However, most of the time, it's really not that hard. I mean, as you can see, I've only had to rinse my hands once so far because of this chicken. And because of the dark soy sauce, this has got like something of a dark brown coating, which is fine. Which means now I get to put this in the fridge for at least, again, the next few minutes or so. So let's move this over to the fridge. And I can remove my chicken board. Yeah, of course I keep a separate cutting board for chicken. Excuse me again. I did say it's overrated, not non-existent, the whole thread about bacteria in chicken, which means now I can use this simply for my veggies. And while I'm thinking of it, I had better start heating up the wok. So here's where you folks get to see some cast iron, because here it is again, the large cast iron wok. Now let's simply start heating this up. There we go. And notice I only have this wok heated up at about halfway or so on the stove top. I've already told the story, and only recently, in fact, about when I warped my lodge wok. And of course, that is a mistake I never intend to make again. Of course, it's a little late because the wok is already warped. All right. So, since I need to do this from scratch here, velveting with baking soda. Well, if you want, so I used cornstarch in this case. But if you want, I will get out some. I'll get that chicken back out because why not? I've taken your advice before, folks, and quite often it has turned out very well. So, where is it? Here it is. Baking soda, like you said. I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to add. I'm betting it's not very much. Probably enough right there. And like you said, let's start mixing it all up. It should react with the vinegar, I would think. Notice it seems to be absorbing the liquid already. The rice vinegar. Maybe I'll throw in a little bit more rice vinegar again, in fact, for a little bit more liquid. Or maybe even a little bit of oil. That might not be a bad thing either. Just a little bit. First is a little bit more rice vinegar. And yeah, you're right. It is foaming up because of that baking soda, obviously. All right. So yeah, this isn't looking too bad. So once again, I will put this in the fridge. And now down to part two, which is an onion. And I probably don't even need all of this onion. This is a big onion. So let's simply do half an onion. I love having a sharp knife for that reason. We will put this aside so I can put that back in the fridge. One end, other end. This is when, let me move this mic over so you can hear what I'm saying. Okay, and this is when we usually just simply peel off the upper layer of the onion because it's faster than trying to struggle with taking off that onion peel bit by bit. Because there's still plenty of onion here. So we will get rid of the rest of this stuff. And now it's just a matter of simply chopping up an onion. And I just simply do mine straight. I started out trying to be fancy by cutting it at an angle equal to the the lines on the onion, but I found it really wasn't necessary. All we need to do now is simply chop it all up. And of course, there are YouTube videos out there now saying that you're a very poor chef if you have to further chop up your onions after the initial chop, meaning like this, like everybody does. Well, then I guess in that case, I'm a very poor chef. I just want to keep my fingers away from the blade, of course. But there we are. And that did not take long. A little bit of this. Excuse me one second. Oh yeah, most of the time, I'm glad I have this little scraper here for scraping up my chopped stuff. Most of the time, I don't use my knife to scrape this up because of the risk involved. Yeah, as you can see, there's plenty of onion here, so no difficulty at all. Come on, last try. There we go. Anyway, and all that's left really is the broccoli. So this is not going to take long at all. Okay, while we're at it here, Mrs. R's uncle would eat onions like an apple. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure everybody, when we were young, we all heard about the apple onion blind taste test. Namely, if you blindfold yourself and cover your nose and put a piece of apple and a piece of onion at the tip of your tongue, supposedly you can't tell the difference. Everyone should look into vermiculture. It's very easy to keep a 5 gallon bucket of worms on the porch to eat all those scraps. That's an interesting idea. We did that for years until we moved. I'd actually never even considered that. I don't know, probably because I grew up in the city. Okay, the last thing is simply a little bit of broccoli. Since this is for one, I'm not even using a huge broccoli crown. Just a small one should be sufficient. Which means don't even have to do a lot of cutting here. This again. All right. There we are. A fair amount of broccoli for one. So far, so good. And what about these extra pieces? What? I always liked broccoli, and I do, in fact, chop up these extra pieces and cook and eat them because it's that much more broccoli. Here we are. Bam, we got a bowl of broccoli already. One more time, find that scraper. Okay, and that is pretty much it because, again, as usual, I'm cheating. I'm using minced garlic. And one other thing I'm actually using for the first time. I always have problems with ginger in that I don't use ginger on a daily basis. Whenever I get fresh ginger, I keep it in the fridge. It becomes dried up, and it even ends up getting what looks like mold on it that has to be cut off. So I decided this time I would give some ginger paste a try, see how well that works. So this is my first time using ginger paste, which of course, okay, that's different. Didn't expect that whole label to come off like that. Which of course I bought at the Indian market. So I'm looking forward to trying this in the stir fry and seeing how it turns out. But just like that, we're all set, especially since we already have I already did prepare the rice at least. Okay, so rice, onions, broccoli, and of course the chicken. All right, so far so good. And it says here, VL triple X. I'm addicted to paper plates. I put all my prep stuff in them because I'm lazy. Yeah, that's not a bad idea either. I think I started that trend back in 1981. Okay, cover the ginger in the refrigerator with sherry. With sherry? Hmm, never considered that before. I bet the label was designed by the legal department. Oh, yeah, I get it. So that the only way to open it up is to get rid of the label. Yeah. Who knows? You might be right. Easier for cleanup. Okay, walk like it's hot. Yes, exactly. Hello, Silva, and welcome to my channel as well. Because as I've been busy doing this, the wok has been heating up. And that means I do believe it's time to head over to the wok because our prep work is done. So that means let's raise this a little bit. There we are. Get the microphone over towards the stovetop so you can hear my mumblings. Make sure I don't accidentally hit the mute button again. I've been drinking ginger tea a couple of times, guaranteed to make you go. Oh, that helps, yeah. Slice your ginger root and cover with vodka. It works. Well, thank you very much about the wok as well. Hello, Kokok. Okay. Yeah, the wok, as I mentioned, this wok here is very special to me because this was the very first piece of cast iron I acquired or purchased by myself. And I'm saying that because I used a Christmas gift card in January of 2011 to get this wok. This was only a few weeks or a couple of weeks after I had cooked for the first time in cast iron, and I was finally getting bitten by the bug. And so this was the first piece of cast iron that I acquired by myself. And so this wok has been used in my kitchen almost at least weekly for the past 14 years now. And as I mentioned already, I actually warped this wok when I was first learning how to cook. But I like to think I've learned a little bit since then, although as you can see, this wok is good and smoking hot now, even though I've only been heating it at a little over medium here on this gas stove top. But that means it's time, better get that chicken back out of the fridge. And I'm going to need a second bowl for when the chicken is cooked, because the way it works is the best way to stir fry is once the chicken is cooked, and boy, this thing sure got solid fast. I will need to reserve it as I cook the other things. So anyway, thank you once again for the nice words here. But it is time now to get down to business. Fortunately, I have a little bit left from this big bottle of canola oil, so we're probably going to use the rest of it tonight, which suits me just fine. There we go. Here's some. And here is where I break out my magic wand. I have already said before, this is, I think, a vintage wok shovel that I found at the Brimfield Antique Show. And if there's anything, okay, I've mentioned before about how I'm silly and I call this cooking magic for my own personal reasons. But hey, then again, tomorrow is May Day, so who knows? But other than that, yeah, if there's any utensil in my kitchen that I consider to be a magic wand, it would probably be this wok here. Eat your heart out, Harry Potter. I'm hoping I didn't actually use too much oil here. Boy, this is actually sloshing around a little bit more than I thought. Oh, that's all right. Considering I did not use any water in this, I only used the vinegar and the baking soda and a little bit of soy sauce. So hopefully there won't be too much splatter, but I think we are about to find out. Because away we go. And the fun thing about these stir fries is when you first start out, it tends to clump together. So we just have to keep splitting them apart. Boy, the brown color on this makes this look like beef, doesn't it? But it's actually coated chicken. That also means I have to thoroughly cook it. I can't cook it to, like, say, medium rare. I got a couple of comments about that bunt pan chicken video that it looked like it was still pink. And I can reassure everybody that chicken was thoroughly cooked all the way to the bone. It's only that, as you know, that it seems like if you leave the chicken in the fridge for a couple of days after you purchase it, which is what I did, um, then it does seem to develop something of a pink color. And no, it is not spoiled either. That chicken was delicious. I'm not sick, and I am not worried at all about that having been spoiled in any way. That's also why turkey quite often has a pink color after you roast it. But I can only say about that is the advice I've given many, many times now about pretty much any meat you're cooking, except maybe this chicken here. Namely that you want to cook to temperature rather than to time. And I did include a cooking thermometer in that chicken when I cooked it. Furthermore, the fact that I was able to pull the chicken apart, or at least the dark meat, also showed that it was thoroughly cooked. Likewise here, while I'm not actually going to be using a cooking thermometer on these pieces of chicken, there's a very simple method for telling when the chicken is done. Namely, when it stops becoming bouncy, the chicken starts to shrink a little bit, and when you can use this spatula and easily cut a piece of chicken apart in half, and you can see that there's no pink on the inside. Then you know everything is done. In this hot wok here, I can expect that to take maybe about a little more than 10 minutes or so. Meanwhile, I also have to keep, there we go, the extra bits. I want to be sure it doesn't stick and burn. Still, this is looking nice. And I know my lady friend says she likes the chicken seasoned. Well, just from the look of this, you can tell that this chicken is definitely going to be seasoned. Anyway, thank you for the advice as well of using baking soda in this as well as the cornstarch. I'm betting that it would probably have been even better if I had marinated it for a longer time, like maybe an hour or so. But I simply did not have time, I'm afraid. Nonetheless, this is not looking too badly. All right. Please just take this as constructive advice. If you ever found a wood or bamboo spatula, it would be preferred over the metal on metal. As a matter of fact, I do have a wooden spatula. Yes, I have a wooden wok spatula, and I've had one for quite a few years. It's that I like using this particular spatula here. This is, again, possibly my favorite kitchen utensil. And I think it does a better job scraping these extra bits off of the wok as well than the wooden spatula does. So there is a real reason for it. And I'm not just saying that to be negative. But as I said, I do have a wooden spatula. In fact, let me get it and show it to you. Here is the wooden spatula, which, as you can see, it is indeed a wok spatula. I've used it so often that I've burned the end of it. I got this dirt cheap at a Chinese market, and it has definitely served me well. All right. As we're at it, I like metal. Sometimes the climb gets you. Is that curve the same as the? Oh, yeah. Yes, that is a wooden wok spatula. It's not just a wooden spatula. They do actually sell wooden wok spatulas at Chinese markets, which is another good reason to go and visit them. I love foreign markets for so many reasons. You can find so many useful things at a foreign market. And despite the anti-China hysteria that's going around, I strongly recommend visiting as I said, a foreign market here in your neighborhood if you have an opportunity to do so. And what's more, they're a lot more common now than they used to be when we were kids. To this, I think I'll add a little bit of salt. Not much. And white pepper. So far, so good. And from here, yeah, no, I wasn't kidding about scraping up all of these bits here. I mean, that's one thing about that sticky marinade here, in that it does indeed stick to the side of the wok, and so I do have to scrape it up. However, I do believe this chicken is already shrinking, though. So, as I said, right, get rid of this extra stuff here. So as I said, if we can cut a piece of chicken apart with the spatula with no difficulty at all, like this, and this is what it looks like after cutting it apart. I'm not sure. I think we are just, let me hold this up again. This is the chicken after cutting it apart with the spatula. I think we are just about done here. Maybe just a few more seconds, and this chicken will be done, which means I'll be able to reserve it. While we're at it, we do have several Mexican-American markets that kick ass. Well, go ahead and visit them. Again, I mean, it's a foreign market I very much strongly recommend. I can't eat Chinese food. Having COVID made it not taste the same. Oh, my condolences there, Handsome Stone. Sorry to hear about that. Birmingham only had one Asian market, and I don't think it survived COVID. Ouch. Sorry to hear that, too. All right. Anyway, the point is just that, is that don't be afraid to try new things. I've learned a lot, and I've always found some interesting and weird stuff when I visit a foreign market, whether it's Chinese or Indian or Spanish, Mexican, Hispanic, Brazilian, whatever you call it, Vietnamese, Greek. Don't be afraid to try a foreign market. Because, as you know, the real saying is eat local. The business you give the foreign market will not be going to Walmart. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. All right, let's get rid of this extra stuff again, because, that's the good part. Time now to reserve the chicken. Oh yeah, this does smell good. If I hadn't already had my supper, I'd probably be tempted to try a piece of this myself. Oh dear, looks like apparently I accidentally spilled a drop of oil over the side. All right, scrape up the rest of it. That also means I gotta get a pot holder. There we go. The oil I can leave in. It's this extra stuff I'm trying to get rid of. All right. Quite a bit of extra stuff, too. this right. Anyway, my bad for leaving that pot holder so close to the flame. On the other hand, I have to readjust the wok now so that it's centered. There we go. Okay. All right. Atlanta has a great farmers market in DeKalb County that includes them all. Nice. All right. I can say, well, thank you. Well, thank you very much, Lake Hickory guy. And yeah, cast ironitis is indeed a spreadable disease, and one that I'm proud to contribute to the spread of, too. Unlike some other diseases going around, cast ironitis is good for you, or at least I think so. Okay. But thank you very much for the nice words. Anyway, new guys must stay after the video to do the cleanup. Yeah, that would be nice. That's for sure, because I always do end up with a mess to clean up here from all this prep work. Nonetheless, looks like there are still a couple of pieces that I better get rid of. There we go. Now I think we've got everything. But while we're at it, let's throw in the last few drops of this canola oil. Yay, now I can throw out this big container. Because it's time now for the broccoli, which takes almost as long to cook as the chicken. Although this wok is hot enough that it should still do a good job on that broccoli. And with any luck, we won't have to reserve any more veggies either. Okay. All right. Storm is coming in tonight for 3 days. Yeah, we're going to be having some rain here too, so I agree with you there, Cynthia Wesley. Okay. Is there a giveaway? I see a lot of new names. Yeah, no, actually, no giveaway now that I know of. I'm thinking that by Memorial Day I'll be able to do a giveaway, but I have nothing planned for tonight. In fact, what I'm going to be able to give away by Memorial Day will be last year's Cracker Barrel skillet, the Made in America one that's not quite the same as the Lodge cast iron Made in America skillet. I went to Cracker Barrel just the other day to look for their Made in America skillet and had saw no sign of it. I asked if they had put out their American themed stand. This is at Cracker Barrel, that is, like they do every year, and they said yes, and they pointed it out, and there was no sign of any cast iron at all to be posted there. When I posted that on my Facebook and a couple of other Facebook groups, a couple of folks who are actually they're associated with Lodge Cast Iron, but not employees of Lodge Cast Iron, suggested that that may not be the case and that there may still be a skillet from Cracker Barrel this year. Well, we can only hope. All right, time now to do some broccoli. Yeah, this broccoli is definitely not going to take as long to cook as that chicken did, that's for sure. And even then, that chicken didn't go very fast. Not to repeat myself, but again, this wok is not at its highest setting. Or rather, the stovetop burner is not at its highest setting. All I'm doing is, let me see. Looks like on my, my burner goes up to 11. In that I have a low, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and high. So there is actually a low, which seems to be 1. Based on that, I currently have my stovetop setting at 7. So no, I'm maybe about 2/3 of the highest setting, but not at the highest setting. Oh yeah. The hard part, in fact, is done. Cooking that chicken was definitely the longest part. I'd say the rest of this is going to go in probably just a few minutes or less. Because, yeah, this is not taking long at all. All I have to do is cook this until the broccoli becomes soft. Well, reasonably soft anyway. All right. I keep checking the Cracker Barrel website. No new cast iron so far. Yes, exactly. That's why I am suspicious. Maybe I'm wrong, but I am suspicious that Cracker Barrel may have discontinued its American cast iron series. I mean, after all, they are selling quite a few cast iron pieces right now. I mean, there are at least 2 or 3 different designs of Cracker Barrel cast iron, all made by Lodge. They are also selling the Dolly Parton skillet, also by Lodge. So maybe they might consider it a business decision that because they're selling all of that cast iron, there may not be a need to contract with Lodge to produce a unique cast iron skillet. I mean, after all, they're still getting all of their cast iron from Lodge. So it is still made in the USA. All right, I can see that this broccoli is definitely getting done, which means now it's time to throw in a few other things, including the onions. Everybody worries about using chicken with my fingers. Nobody worries about using onions with my fingers. And to that, there we go. Try. This smells good, actually. Gonna try some of this ginger paste for the first time. Whoop. Mix it all together. And where did it go? Some garlic. Not bad for a stir fry that you saw. I've done completely from scratch at the beginning of this video, except for the rice, which I made myself. Well, no correction, that I made earlier. I mean, of course I made it myself. And which, in fact, I do believe it's time to add now. Well, come on, there we go. That's the thing about rice. There we go. You just have to break it up and spread it around. And then to that, all we need to do is mix in a little bit more sauce. I mean, I've mentioned before that I'm a fan of, I don't know what you call it, the natural flavors of the vegetables, in that I'm not crazy about drowning my vegetables with sauce. Although I'm in the minority, and this is not going to be for me. So that means I will definitely be adding some seasoning to this. There we go. Don't it to stick. Which means once again, salt. Pepper. And notice the rice is all broken up at this point, even though it started out as just a clump. Okay, and finally, some more soy sauce, which you're supposed to add around the side. You know what? I think, even though this will change the texture, I think I need to add something sweet to it. So let's do some hoisin sauce as well. Oh, just the smell of it makes me want some pho. There we go. Pardon me again. That is damned annoying. Finally, here comes the chicken. And with that, we have ourselves a stir fry. And which, as I said, we only started preparing everything except the rice. Looks like only a little more than 45 minutes ago. Even cutting up the chicken and marinating it. So this is not bad at all. Because I have to say, this does not look too bad. All right. Turn off the heat now. Take a couple of pictures. So I can show my lady friend what she is going to be having for lunch tomorrow. And with that, we have a stir fry. So give me 1 second. Let's see here. Check these comments one last time. Some people listen to rain and waterfalls. I bet I'd sleep like a baby listening to bacon frying. Nice. We have a few minor tornadoes just south of where I live. Ooh. If you want it to rain now, just mow your lawn. Yeah, I mowed my lawn 2 days ago. I was expecting it to rain yesterday. It finally did, but not until the evening. What are you guys doing? Hello, honey badger. What are you doing? Stir frying in a wok? Yes, that is exactly what we're doing. I made a nice basic chicken stir fry, which is going to be lunch for my lady friend tomorrow. As I mentioned already, I'm still on the so-called carnivore diet. So unfortunately, while I could have the chicken, I can't have the rice and the broccoli and onions and ginger and other fun stuff. So this again is going to be her lunch. But I'm more than happy to have had an excuse to cook, as always. And this whole stir fry from beginning to end, except for the rice, only took 45 minutes. So not bad at all. Okay. Still on the diet, yes. I know some people talk about miracles from the carnivore diet. You know, it's like, I was on the carnivore diet and I lost 30 pounds in 1 month. Right now, I'm struggling to make it past 10 pounds, it seems like. I think I'm still somewhere below 200 at this point. So I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm not as big and heavy as some of the other people who started that diet. I mean, I was at 206 pounds when I started this diet. Like I said, I'm somewhere around maybe about 195 now. All right. Is it true that Lodge is not going to make enamel cast iron anymore? It is true that Lodge has discontinued their USA made enamel cast iron, the USA enamel line. They said they're going to continue selling their essential enamel line. The essential enamel are the enamel cast iron pieces that they've been selling for at least a decade or two. The ones that, yes, are made in China. I have no idea what they're going to do at this point with that big, huge enamelware foundry that they spent millions building. I can only hope that they use it. I mean, maybe they might start producing their cheaper enamel there, which would, of course, be very, very convenient for everyone, or I do not know. That I have no direct contacts at Lodge. I do not know what they're going to do with it. However, it is true that their expensive elite USA enamel line, which I was lucky enough to acquire two pieces from, the one that they made to compete with Le Creuset, has been discontinued. They said they stopped production of it in February, and they are currently just selling out their existing inventory of it. Well, thank you very much, Rocket Caver, as well. Yeah, I'm thinking I might try going at least until I don't know, maybe June or so, Memorial Day or so on this carnivore diet, and then I might simply switch to a low calorie diet. The one where you're only supposed to have about 1,500 calories per day. Um, I've read about some people who could not stand the carnivore diet because they crave carbs and sugar and everything like that so much. I have not had a problem with that. Um, I'm surprised that I have not had a sugar craving, but I have not. So even though I'm pretty tempted sometimes when I walk through the store, so far I haven't had a problem on this. So no, this is not going to be one of those miracle stories for the carnivore diet. Even of the kind that we heard from, Steve Strawn at Cast Iron Cookware, for instance. But so far, I like the results, and I can only hope it continues like this. I'd better get this out of the wok at this point. Okay, because this is going to be her lunch. I found that I am out of plastic containers. I'm going to actually have to put all this in a glass container. So this is going to be interesting. I need a scoop or something that will fit into this. And the best I could think of, oh yes, of course, my big honkin' spoon, my Volrath spoon, in fact. Yay, it fits nicely. I don't think this glass will shatter. I don't believe it is that hot, and I'm not going to put it directly into the fridge yet anyway. So it's not going to go from hot to cold. I'm sure if you didn't like the sound of the spatula on the wok, you probably don't like the scraping of the spoon. Looks like it is going to fit very nicely, too. And this is why I use the metal spatula, especially so that, again, it can scrape all the bits up. Oops, great, of course. I always spill some on these things, no matter what. So I get for trying to be hasty. Yeah, now I am going to have to clean up the mess. Well, that's my fault. So far, so good, though. But there we are. Here is her lunch in a jar. I'm going to let this thing cool off a little bit before I put it in the fridge overnight. I have never gained or lost weight since 1968. Well, I wish I were you, that's for sure. The Sojo World. What? Advertised on a shopping network? Oh, I see. You're talking about maybe Lodge should have promoted their USA enamel cast iron. You may very well be right. It probably would have done better if they had put more emphasis into the marketing. I might agree with that there. Okay. All right. Just got done making the pheasant marinade. Ooh, that sounds good, Honey Badger. Boy, it sounds like you're getting fancy, that's for sure. And yes, the bunt pan chicken. Oh, I loved how that bunt pan chicken turned out. I mentioned it a little earlier this evening. If anybody, I'll say it one last time. If anybody has a cast iron bunt pan, maybe even it might work with an aluminum bunt pan, but I think a cast iron pan might be better. I definitely recommend trying that. The same way you might do beer can chicken. All you have to do is preheat the bunt pan, and then you stick the chicken onto it, and then you roast it in the oven, uncovered. And it's as simple as that. I discovered the secret is that by sticking a huge hunk of metal up the chicken's butt, there goes my monetization for this video. That will help roast the chicken on the inside as well as the outside. As a result, everything is well cooked. The white meat is, because I measured it with a temperature, the white meat was not dried out. I did this intentionally to compare this to supermarket rotisserie chicken, which I enjoy just like so many people. It's like, I'm tired. I don't want to cook tonight. I don't want to spend too much, so I'm going to go and get myself a rotisserie chicken, especially since BJ's sells them for $5 and Costco sells them for $5.99. And they taste good. But one thing about rotisserie chickens is they're overcooked. Almost every single one of them are overcooked. That is why they are so tender. The dark meat just falls apart, which is wonderful for the dark meat. But on the other hand, it also means with your rotisserie chicken, the breast meat is always dry and flaky. It's because it's overcooked. That happens just about every time. Whenever I get a rotisserie chicken, I always chow down on all of the dark meat, and I love it. But I have trouble finishing the white meat, especially because it's so dry. Yes, you could always put sauce on the white meat, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But the fact that you have to put sauce on the white meat every time just to keep it dry, just to keep it from being too dry, that tells us that's the problem with those rotisserie chickens they sell at the deli and the supermarket. And that's why I've decided yes, using a cast iron bundt pan is a superior way to roast a chicken. Definitely recommend it. I think Lodge was just a little late to the game to enamel. Lack of choice of colors, plus folks already have enamel cookware. All of that may be true. You might be right about that, Honey Badger. It's hard to say. Main reason not to buy was the price. Yeah, that's been the problem, unfortunately, with Lodge, even with their other cast iron. I mean, they bought out Finex, but they're continuing to let Finex be its own separate brand. But Lodge has produced other high quality but expensive cookware before. A few years ago, Lodge actually produced a line of stainless steel cookware. We haven't heard much about that, have we? The Blacklock series, well, it's going well enough at least, that they still have it, which is good. But in general, Lodge really does not have that much in the way of expensive cast iron. The expensive cast iron pieces from Lodge are their big pieces, especially the Sportsman grill. Beyond that, um, just about everything is reasonably affordable, which is nice, of course. I mean, yeah, that's why we like Lodge. But yeah, it certainly was an exception rather than the rule for Lodge to sell their enamelware at such a high price. That's for sure. Hog Wild. Lodge didn't advertise much after the rollout. When they made the gray, I didn't like it. Red or yellow would have been better. Rotisserie chicken is a grocery hack for sure. Well, yes, it is. And there's nothing wrong with rotisserie chicken other than the fact that it's overcooked. I mean, you know how many recipes out there that just say, use some rotisserie chicken meat in this dish rather than cooking it yourself because you don't have to cook it yourself. That's the big advantage. You're paying for the convenience of a rotisserie chicken. All of which I can only say yet again, it tastes good. That's the big reason why rotisserie chickens are still so popular and will probably always be popular. They're convenient and they're good. Also, the price is so much better, especially since fast food, prices have skyrocketed. I mean, we know now that, it's almost impossible to get a meal for one at McDonald's for less than $10, and usually it will be $20 or so. Don't even talk about Five Guys. Whereas on the other hand, again, rotisserie chicken at again, BJ's $5, Costco $5.99. The local supermarket usually sells it for higher because they can't do so much of a loss leader. Oh, and that's the reason why the rotisserie chickens at Costco and BJ's are so inexpensive. They deliberately underprice them. In fact, they cost less than their uncooked chickens. They deliberately it's called a loss leader, meaning that the idea is they get you in there with the price of that. And once you're there in the store, they then have the opportunity to sell you other stuff at the meat counter and the veggies and all of the other grocery shopping. Well, as long as I'm here, I might as well get such and such and such. And there you go. You are spending money that you probably did not intend to spend. Hopefully useful stuff, but nonetheless, that's the whole point of a loss leader. All right. Um, what are we seeing here? A whole chicken in the Dutch oven still tastes the same. I get it. You don't want to get home and cook, but throw it in the pot, set it and forget it. Yes, that's also true, Joe Sojo world. And okay, shameless plug. I do have a recipe for roasting a 5-pound chicken or less in a cast iron Dutch oven at 500 degrees, which takes you less than an hour to do. Although it can still take you at least half an hour to heat up the pot in advance. So we're talking like maybe an hour and a half. But still, that's not bad for a roast chicken. Yeah, no microplastics here. Okay, yes. I really think Le Creuset easy payments is the way to go. I can afford that. Yeah, you're most likely right. Um, I mean, granted, I've never been tempted to get a Le Creuset brand new. On the other hand, when as I've said already, when my huge 13-quart Le Creuset Dutch oven finally died, the enamel started chipping. I finally decided to invest in a replacement, and that's when I got my huge stove Dutch oven, which I'm very glad to use, even if it's mostly a stew pot and a pasta sauce pot. So, oh yeah, cute rocket caver. I know, I know. I really need to commit to those spiral potatoes. I mean, I've been promising that for what, a year, 2 years? I've already lost count of that, unfortunately, and I'm surprised how fast the time flies too. Has anyone tried the Smithy carbon steel wok? I have not. Um, I really have not received any cast iron from the cast iron manufacturers in a good couple of years or more. They have not do not seem to be reaching out to me the way they used to. Maybe it's because I've turned down most of their offers. There were a few that I did actually take the offer from, most notably the Stargazer skillet, which I really don't regret. Um, but the only other thing I have, I think, that was actually sent to me by a manufacturer that I still have is the Lodge fish pan. Yeah, Lodge actually sent that one to me, and I'm very grateful for that too. There was the Wagner griddle, which, as Honey Badger knows all too well, I used it, I liked it, and then I did a giveaway with it. But all of my but my other high quality cast iron pieces, well, some of them were gifts, yes, but not from the manufacturers. And thank you again, Louis J, for that. But that's just how it goes. I'm not going to just brag about the way I've gotten free cast iron because, yeah, whatever. I'm very grateful to have received it, but I've got enough, quite a bit of a collection as it is too. That's also why come Christmas, last Christmas, you remember I was pretty much screaming at everybody here, telling you, don't send me any cast iron for Christmas. And thank you, everybody, for not sending me cast iron because no, I did not need it. So thank you so much. Then, of course, I got cast iron anyway, namely the Lodge USA enamel pots. But nonetheless, it's going to be like that really for my birthday and for Christmas. Yeah, please, if you have cast iron that you want to give away, don't send it to me. Give it to family or friends or YouTube and internet friends, or have a giveaway with it of your own. I don't need it. Okay. My Wagner griddle will be taken out of my cold, dead hands. Well, I'm glad you like it, Honey Badger. At least it's a quality piece, though. I mean, despite how sketchy the company may be, and I really haven't been able to find any other information about that company, and who knows how long that company is going to last. But if nothing else, you've got yourself a nice Wagner griddle. And there's really no way, and there's really nothing wrong with that. Really, the cost benefit for the rotisserie chicken makes it a no brainer. There's no way to DIY cheaper. My local Walmart does delicious chicken, so DIY only makes sense for quality. Well, yes, that is true. I mean, as I said, yeah, rotisserie chicken is nice. If you have the time and the energy, you can make a chicken that's better than a rotisserie chicken. If you don't have the time, if you want to just spend a few bucks without having to cook, then there you go. Rotisserie chicken is probably the best deal you can get these days. As I mentioned, fast food is ridiculously expensive. So that's the best thing you can do, rotisserie chicken. Also, supermarket deli pizza. That's pretty good too, and not really that expensive either, especially compared to takeout pizza. All right. Lake Hickory guy. Totally agree. Actually worked at MUSC in Charleston and ironically never purchased any until in March. And have several pieces and I love them all. Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's getting hooked get bitten by the bug. I think Lake Hickory guy here is getting struck with cast ironitis. Cynthia Wesley, all my boutique pieces I won. Yes, you've been lucky with those giveaways. That's for sure. All right. Crept in and stole it. Yeah. Where is the food you cooked? All I see is an empty wok. Yeah, well, yes, exactly. While your back was turned, I took the food out of the wok and put it in this jar here, and this is going to go to my lady friend for her lunch tomorrow. And there's plenty of it here, so I can only hope she likes it. I wish I could get good cheap pizza. Cheap is my favorite flavor. Yeah, I can agree there, VL triple X. My problem with pizza is the dough. I mean, I can make a good and an okay pizza dough. I mean, very rarely have I been able to make a world class pizza dough. A few times I have, but not on a regular basis. I'm still practicing because that's all you can do. Um, but really, for really, really good pizza, the two things are the dough and also the sauce. And then, of course, you can cover it with whatever toppings you want. Um, Let me see. My last pizza was about a little bit more than a month ago. um, I do know next week is the first Wednesday of the month, and that's when I'll be doing my usual cast iron Q&A session. 2 weeks then, who knows? We'll see what happens. Maybe I might finally be able to commit to those spiral potatoes unless something else happens. Even restaurants don't do the crust right. Yes, exactly. So, I mean, unless you go to a really good pizza joint. And if you have a good pizza joint in your place, enjoy it. And definitely go there often enough so that they stay in business. Smithies are so smooth, not even the seasoning sticks. Yeah, I've seen that. I mean, I have not yet had the opportunity to actually hold and handle a smithy myself. But yeah, those are the ones that have such a polished sheen to them. It's reflective almost. Although, has Smithy also changed their design, just like Stargazer and Field? And do they have now a somewhat more rougher surface or grouped surface now for the seasoning? I don't have an answer for that because as I said, I've never encountered a Smithy in person myself, at least not yet. I learn from the friends I keep. Well, there you go, Val's Black Cat's rule. Smithy is still smooth. Okay, well there you go. If you still want a smooth, polished skillet, then modern day, then that means you can go with Smithy. Of course, there's the price, but that's that's kind of what we've been talking about as well the last few minutes as well. I'm thinking about store pizza. I guess Costco is the pizza place. Well, there is that, or as I mentioned, the supermarket deli counter. On one hand, and I keep forgetting this, namely, of course, you can buy fresh pizza dough at the supermarket, and then from there you can make yourself a pretty good pizza, and I've done that too. Or on the other hand, the deli at the supermarket these days, they also have their ready to make pizzas, not the frozen pizzas, which you could also get. I'm talking about one that it's there in the cold deli section, and that's where you just simply buy the pizza and heat it up. Usually there's a pepperoni pizza and a cheese pizza and maybe a meat pizza as well. I'm enjoying catching the tail end. Yes. Hello, JR Finishes. Nice to see you there as well. Publix does have the dough. Okay, another pop up here. Okay. Lancaster is right there with them, and it holds seasoning better. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, that's right. A couple of people here have Lancaster skillets. Wait, yeah, that's right. I actually got a Lancaster skillet, and then I immediately used it in a giveaway. It was so fast that I almost forgot about that. But yes, um, the Lancaster skillet did not come from Lancaster Cast Iron. I believe it was somebody else. Might have even been Louis J, but I'm not sure. But somebody sent me a Lancaster skillet. Although, as I said, I immediately did a giveaway. I do agree with Honey Badger. Lancaster is a close second. All right. Um, there was one modern day cast iron maker. I believe the question is, have they gone out of business? And I'm trying to remember who it was. It was not Butterpat. Butterpat has been sold out, but has been bought out by Yeti. Um, but there was one local, not local, but one of these cast iron manufacturers. I don't think it was Smithy. Um, Stargazer, as far as I know, is doing okay. Field is doing okay. Finex is doing okay. I swear it's right on the tip of my tongue. Maybe the fact that I can't remember it immediately might be one reason why they may or may not still be. Oh, that's it. Marquette Castings. That's it. You are correct. Marquette has went out of business, and my condolences for that. If I remember right, I believe they did send me an offer, and I ended up turning it down. I need to get a Lancaster. I thought about going to the factory. I'll stop by and pick up Fuzz. Marquette Castings, yeah. I'm on the BSR team, and I don't blame you at all, VL Triple X. Yeah, my BSNR collection is still slowly growing. I can't help it. I now have two BSNR muffin pans, along with a few other skillets. So yeah, I'm not going to complain about BSNR. That's for sure. I realize I only live a couple of towns away from oh god, what is it with my memory tonight? The other elite manufacturer. They also make a enamel cast iron. And in fact, I've got a bottle opener from them, but I can't believe I just simply what is with my memory tonight? Anyway, um Smithy, Marquette. Burrow, that's it. Burrow Furnace. Yeah, that's it. You're right, Jim Glathar. I only live a couple of towns away from them. I really need to, one of these days, if I ever have time, make arrangements to visit them and see and take a look at their stuff. Um, Burrow Furnace makes all of their cast iron by hand. I guess they consider it to be more like an art project than actual mass production. So they're always making their stuff by hand, which means, of course, their stuff is always mega expensive because that's what you get for art. And they're never going to be able to compete with Lodge or probably even Smithy as far as producing large numbers of skillets. But nonetheless, they do, of course, make high quality stuff. And they also make enamel cast iron as well, as I was informed sometime within the last few months. I was so impressed with Lancaster, I bought the whole set. And they're very similar to Wagner's from the 20. Well, that's interesting, Hog Wild. I'm impressed to hear that too. So you ought to go there and do a video. Yeah, tell me about it, William Hurt. That's actually what I should do. I'm just don't know when I will have the time to do so. Things are so busy right now. I'm having trouble enough finding time to make videos. It's only because I'm kind of like gotten close to a family, as I mentioned, with my lady friend who has teenage daughters and a teenage son, which means that takes up a lot of time as I'm helping out. On the other hand, it also means I'm getting to do some cooking and they seem to be liking it. So I'm quite happy about that. That's why, among other things, I made this stir fry, which again, she's going to have for lunch for tomorrow. And not that I'm saying anything, but a couple of weeks ago, I made edibles. And yeah, the people who got those edibles said they were, well, edible. And again, I'm not going to say any more than that. But nonetheless, between that and this carnivore diet, again, my cooking is, I'm still trying to do as much of it as I can, but I really have not had the time to do these really fancy video projects. I really need to get one or two of those in the can soon enough. Nonetheless, as soon as storm season is over, I can't wait to start cooking in the poiki. Oh yeah, you're going to love it, Rocket Caver, if you haven't done so already. Borough Furnace is still making enamel Dutch ovens, and they kicked Lodge's butt. That's certainly true. They have been making enamel cast irons before Lodge start built their factory. But again, they are a much smaller company, so really the comparison really is not fair for many reasons. I mean, a small company making handmade cast iron is way different from Lodge producing hundreds of thousands of cast iron pans every month. So there's really no comparison there. That's for sure. Paris Hilton had a line of enameled cast iron and it's all pink. Yeah, that is true. Of course, that's almost certainly Asian made anyway. So, not that there's anything really wrong with that. Oh, I'm on the 80-20 diet and having good success. Well, I'm glad to hear that too, Honey Badger. So are the poikies. So are the poikies that good? I have had a cast iron poiki Asian made since 2012. That I've shown in several videos. It's the one that looks like an old fashioned cauldron, although again, mine was made only around like in the 2010s. I love it. I love my poiki. It is a really, really useful pot. Besides the fact that it looks like a vintage cast iron cauldron or witch's cauldron or whatever you call it, the fact that that pot is so wide and especially so deep makes it very, very useful for things like deep frying and a whole bunch of other stews. I mean, the poiki is definitely much taller than a Lodge Dutch oven. And the Lodge Dutch oven is extremely useful too. But no, I mean, really, I get a lot of use out of my poiki, and I definitely do not regret the investment. Again, I'm going on 13 years now with that Poiki. So quite happy to have that. It's easy to collect if you're local. Just keep cruising thrift stores. It's just the culture of how it was produced back then. The longer legs help too. I actually have a Poiki with no legs. It's a plat Poiki. Plat, not F. It's not a flat Poiki. It's a plat Poiki. And that is and I intentionally got it with no legs, especially so that I could use it in the kitchen, and I am certainly not regretting it for that reason. I've looked on Amazon, by the way. I found that there is still at least one number three Poiki on sale from there on Amazon for about $99, which is the same price that I paid for my Poiki way back in 2012. So there you go. That might be an investment that's worth it for somebody. Buzz 4K, it was Cynthia that got me hooked on BSNR. BSR used to be reasonable here, but not anymore. Yeah, that's true. And we, the cast iron community here on the internet, are to blame for that. We are the ones that made that information much more well known. And so eBay and the vendors picked up on it. Even the other day, I was at a flea market in Eastern New York, Stormville Airport Antique Fair. It was a pretty good flea market. The cast iron pickings were pretty slim, despite the fact that I made two good scores. I mean, I made a video about that, but there really wasn't that much more cast iron to be found there. However, there was one guy selling a very small set of maybe three or four different pans, all overpriced. One of them, and he had it written on the label BSR 5V. V is in Victor. So even though I could tell just from that he really had no idea what it was, he knew what a BSR pan was. So yeah, the vendors and the antique dealers do know what BSNR is now, and again, it's because of us sharing information. Well, so be it. I would rather the information be out there for anybody to find rather than for the information to be lost, because there you go. It kind of continues BSNR's legacy. So that is good too. Hello, Huggy Bear as well. See, cast iron anonymous. Yes. Yeah. Guilty as charged. Yes, exactly. My efforts. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, our finishes as well. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I appreciate the good words, and I'm not saying that it's entirely bad. I mean, from a collector standpoint, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, it is true that BSNR cast iron is now more expensive in general in the antique market because more of the vendors know about BSR. And yet, even so, if you look around, you can still find yourself a bargain, even today. It just takes looking. I blame Badger on wanting a Wapak. Notice I'm starting to pronounce it right too. Wapak, not Wapik as I used to pronounce it. I blame Badger on wanting a Wapak with an Indian head on the bottom. Makes it hard to sleep. Yeah, I've seen those Wapak Indian heads on sale in the antique markets, usually with a price of like about $120 or so. I have not had the urge to splurge on them. Who knows what happens if I manage to find one cheap? But other than that, well, that's how it goes. I mean, it's different for everyone too, and I can only say what my tastes are and the kind of luck I've been having in the treasure hunt, which may differ for everybody else here. A month ago, I scored a BSR number 8 Dutch oven at a Goodwill store for $9.09. There you go. Yes, bargains are still out there. Yes, they are. Which means it really comes down more than anything else to patience, as always. So, okay, I would say we are probably getting on because it is getting close to that time there. I mean, I appreciate everybody ending this little video here with a conversation because that stir fry only took about 45 minutes to make rather. And that's how easy it is. And that's one reason why I love doing stir fries. Those are the type of things that you can make when you come home tired from work. And I find that doing some cooking actually is relaxing. Even if you're exhausted, doing some cooking like that really helps make you feel better. It doesn't really take a lot of effort. And most important, it's fast and it's easy. And that's another reason why I love doing it in the wok as well. But as I said, I think we are about ready to call this one a night because, again, we're approaching an hour and a half. And here it is, Wednesday night. The last day of February, which means tomorrow is May Day. You know, that it's not exactly a holiday, but it is considered in a lot of cultures to be a famous holiday, Walpurgisnacht, in fact, which also means we're exactly 6 months from Samhain or 6 months from Halloween. Oh God, I'm not even gonna get started with that. Ugh, it's only been 4 months since Christmas. I'm not going to start counting down till Christmas again yet. Anyway, but thank you very much, William Hurt, as well, and fun chat. And yeah, it is as always, you folks here, you're chatting with you that really makes these live videos a lot of fun. And I can only thank everybody for that. I can only thank you as well for taking up the time with our conversation here, and especially to Rocket Caver and Fuzzfork 8. Thank you for helping me complete my patriotic heritage collection. Yeah, we should know probably within a couple of weeks or so, Fuzzfork, whether or not there will be another American skillet from Cracker Barrel. To be honest, if there is not, well, there isn't. Because the pickings or the selection of cast iron these days is fantastic. But if there is, well, that's good too. So we'll see what it's like if it happens. And cast iron honey badger stop by my kitchen tomorrow for coq au vin. Yes, a la badger with wild pheasant instead of chicken. That all sounds great. Definitely something to look forward to, honey badger. And Jamie Ledgerwood, appreciate the chats. Cynthia Wesley and Merlin in Alaska. Well, thank you very much, Merlin in Alaska, and Clico and Fuzzfork 8. And thank you to everybody for taking your time to visit my channel tonight. And because we're always going to do it again next week, and next week, as I mentioned, is the first of the month. That's when we'll be once again having a cast iron Ask Me Anything session, almost anything, which is where I get to stand there and you throw questions at me and I will do my best to answer them and we will have fun. But until then, thank you, everybody, and Radagast, you too, and good night to everybody. So see you all next live, as well as Black Cat's Rule says. Or as I like to say, see you next Wednesday.